The president is ratcheting up his trade war with China and lying about what it means for American companies and consumers. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. When it comes to foreign policy, there are two things we know about Donald Trump. He wants to be liked by everyone, and he has no idea what he's talking about. That's why his description of how he would conduct himself in office was always so incoherent. During the campaign, for example, Trump insisted both that as a businessman, he could have good relationships with everybody, and also that as a nation, we should be unpredictable.
As a businessman, I get along with everybody. I have business all over the world.
We must, as a nation, be more unpredictable. We are totally predictable. We have to be unpredictable.
No, you can't get along with everybody and also be unpredictable. Nobody likes their unpredictable friend. Trump's like the guy who won't respond to texts when you ask him for a ride to the airport, but then he shows up at your door at 3 a.m. with a handle of vodka and a duffel bag, and when you say go home, he's like, I can't, I got stoned and sold my apartment. And now we're seeing what Trump's unpredictability looks like when it comes to imposing tariffs on China. China retaliated this week with tariffs, and the escalating trade war has hurt farmers and sent the stock market plummeting. And yet, Trump has repeatedly shrugged it off, claiming our economy is strong enough to handle a trade war and insisting it's not that big of a deal.
So the economy is doing very well by every measure. We're having probably the greatest economy that we've had anywhere, anytime in the history of our country. We're having a little squabble with China because we've been treated very unfairly for many, many decades.
A little squabble is not how you describe a trade war with the world's second largest economy. That's language your dad uses when he explains why he's been sleeping in a motel for the past few weeks. Your mom and I are having a little squabble over a photo of Daddy at a big boys party with a lady who popped out of a cake. It's a squabble. It'll be over soon. Now, even some Democrats have been in favor of using tariffs as a temporary tool to get a long-term deal with China that helps American workers. But one of those Democrats, Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, expressed concern that Trump was using the tariffs as a permanent solution.
I'm very concerned that the president has not understood that tariffs need to be a short-term tool to get to a long-term policy. He seems to think that tariffs are the policy.
Yeah, tariffs are supposed to be a temporary punishment, not a permanent solution. It's like if your kid doesn't do their chores, you send them to their room for an hour. You don't make them live there for 30 years. That's probably why these two looks like they've never seen the daylight. And then there are the Republicans who have traditionally opposed tariffs and supported free trade. Suddenly, those Republicans have gone very quiet. And even when they express mild concern to Trump, their message doesn't seem to get through, like Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, who represents a lot of farmers hurt by Trump's tariffs. Grassley told the Washington Post yesterday that he planned to write a letter to Trump to explain the concerns of farmers because he felt the argument he had repeatedly made to the president in person was not registering. I'm not sure if you talk to him face-to-face, he hears everything you say. And I do believe he doesn't hear everything face-to-face. I mean, have you ever seen the way he looks in a meeting when someone else is talking? He hates it so much, he literally hugs himself as a calming mechanism. Don't worry, Donald, the bad man will be done soon, and then it will be your turn to make noise with your mouth. So now, Trump has us mired in a damaging trade war with the world's second largest economy that's pissing off both parties and has no end in sight. But as usual, he keeps insisting that even though he and the president of China are fighting, they still get along great.
The relationship I have with President Xi is extraordinary. It's really very good, but he's for China and I'm for the USA.
And honestly, I'm just relieved he knows what side he's on. Trump's like a kid in a youth soccer game who gets confused about what team he's on and kicks it into the wrong goal. And Republicans are like the helicopter parents on the sideline who cheer for him anyway. Yes, Bradley, you choose whatever goal you feel comfortable with. But you got to give it to Trump. You got to give it to Trump. He might not know how tariffs work, but he definitely knows which country he is the president of.
President Xi, he's a friend of mine. And I'm a friend of his, and I like him a lot. But he's representing China, and I'm representing the United States of America. President Xi is for China, and I'm for the United States. He's representing China, and I'm representing the United States. He represents China. I represent the USA. He likes China, and I like the United States. He's for China. I'm for us. President Xi He's a friend of mine, but he likes China. I like the USA.
We all know that. This is like if Steph Curry held a post-game press conference and just went, I play for the Warriors. James Harden plays for the Rockets. Goodbye. Now, tariffs are basically tariffs are a tax on imports from that country. So the American companies importing those goods pay the tax. And they often end up passing that tax on to consumers. And yet Trump keeps repeating the lie that China will pay the tariffs rather than American companies and consumers. He did it again last week while simultaneously claiming once again that he has a great relationship with the president of China.
We were getting very close to a deal. Then they started to renegotiate the deal. We can't have that. We can't have that. So our country can take in $120 billion a year in tariffs, paid for mostly by China, by the way, not by us. A lot of people try and steer it in a different direction. It's really paid, ultimately, it's paid for largely by China.
Do you have plans to talk to President Xi, or no, not yet?
Well, he just wrote me a beautiful letter. I just received it, and I'll probably speak to him by phone.
Okay, first of all, you'll probably speak to him by phone. If someone sends you a beautiful letter, you call them. That is just basic etiquette. One time, my grandma sent me a birthday card. I didn't call her right away, and later that day, I got another card slipped under my door that said, no phone call. And she included a bill for the $5. Second, Trump has the weird thing where he's obsessed with getting beautiful letters from people. He's said it multiple times about everyone from Kim Jong-un to Vladimir Putin to the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, and even President Obama shortly after he took office.
James Clapper, who famously got caught lying to Congress, is now an authority on Donald Trump. Will he show you his beautiful letter to me?
Putin even sent me a present, beautiful present with a beautiful note. A letter was given to me by Kim Jong-un, and that letter was a very nice letter. Oh, would you like to see what was in that letter? I just showed a letter that I received just yesterday from Chairman Kim, which is an extraordinary letter. I just went to the Oval Office and found this beautiful letter from President Obama. This was the letter given to me by President Obama. It was long, it was complex, it was thoughtful.
And I didn't understand a word of it. I just know it was shaped like this. His obsession with letters makes him sound like a Civil War wife. I just got the most beautiful letter from Beauregard. Also, why is Trump always carrying these letters around? Is that why his coat's always so bulky? He's just packed full of mail everywhere he goes? He's a terrible president, but he'd make a great mailman. I could totally see him. Shorts, high socks, tugging around a mail sack. But the important part of that clip is the part where Trump claimed that China and not the U.S. companies would pay the tariff. It's a lie he's repeating for years. And on Sunday, Fox host Chris Wallace got Trump's chief economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, to admit that it was a lie.
It's not China that pays tariffs. It's the American importers, the American companies that pay what in effect is a tax increase and oftentimes passes it on to U.S. consumers.
Fair enough. In fact, both sides will pay. Both sides will pay in these things. And, of course, it depends.
If it's a tariff on goods coming into the country, the Chinese aren't paying.
No, but the Chinese will suffer GDP losses and so forth with respect to a diminishing export market and goods that they may need for their own
I understand that, but
economy.
the president says China doesn't. China, it pays the tariffs. They may suffer consequences, but it's U.S. businesses and U.S. consumers who pay, correct?
Yes, to some extent. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Oh, Larry, you just admitted that Trump is a liar on Fox News. You're going to have to apologize to him, and I have a feeling I know how you'll do it. I just got the most beautiful letter. Larry Kudlow says I'm not a liar. Let me just find it here in my mail coat. This one's from Putin. It's an Obama. Oh, Pottery Barn. So Trump's antagonizing China in a costly trade war that no one wants. Democrats and Republicans are both unhappy, and the stock market is plummeting. And it really seems like Trump is feeling increasingly isolated because during his speech to workers in Louisiana yesterday, He went out of his way to insist that the U.S. doesn't need any help from other countries.
You are not only making our nation wealthier, but you are making America safer by building a future of American energy independence. We are independent. We don't need anybody. We don't need anybody.
Oh boy, it really feels like he's projecting there. Should be eating out of a tub of ice cream on his sofa talking to his cat. We don't need anybody. Isn't that right, Mike Pence? Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, you're a good boy. You're a good boy, Mike Pence. People say you're a boring, dead-eyed cat, but I love you, Mike Pence. Even on his core issue, the thing that he claimed he'd been able to fix, Trump has no strategy and no idea what he's doing. He spent 2 years talking about trade with China, and he's gotten nowhere. All we have are costly tariffs, and the only thing Trump knows for sure is...
He likes China, I like the USA.
This has been A Closer Look.